Hello everyone, it's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. I'm so glad you could join me today. We're going to be making this beautiful cardinal card. I put all the dies on different cardstock so I could run that through at once. And this is the Sizzix Feathered Cardinal dies by Tim Holtz. And so these are very detailed, beautiful dies that make this gorgeous feathered cardinal. And here's just a little trivia I looked up online. Cardinal can, of course, signify a visit or a sign from loved ones. Many people believe in that. Seeing one after the death of a loved one can mean a new start after the end, which is a beautiful symbolism. And it's a Christian tradition that represents eternal nature of our souls. And in the Native American society, they believe that cardinals bring good luck and represent the number 12, which is a number of perfection and completion. Most notably because they stay close to home year-round for 12 months. They also lay 12 eggs. And interestingly enough, they mate for life. They're homebodies. They like to stay close to home throughout the year, unlike other birds who migrate to different areas. The cardinal or redbird family will stay in their current location and raise their families. So anyway, just a little trivia. I thought that was pretty interesting. So here is our little guy all put together, and I hope you can see the detail in his wings and his breast. He's just beautiful. Okay, to add a little bit of shading, I'll use my distress ink in a walnut stain and go around his body and his legs and down under his tail, a little bit under his beak. This just makes him a little more three-dimensional. Add just a bit of shading here and there to really make all those features stand out. Here's a closer look of that. And then I'll take a little of my 3D lacquer and give him a shiny little eye. There's a little indentation in his eye area. It's perfect for the lacquer. So his finished size is quite small. It's 2.5 by 3.5. Next, I used these wood grain papers, which are just wonderful. I mean, they really look like photos of wood. And I'll take the negative space from my birdhouse and kind of lay my paper under there. See, through the lens, wood grain paper. And these look so realistic. They're just beautiful papers. Anyway, I was trying to get an idea of what the birdhouse would look like once I cut the main base out of some of these papers. So by using this negative space, I can get an idea of what it's going to look like when I get that cut out. These are just really great papers. And I end up going back to one of these earlier ones. I cut out my birdhouses from the Cricut Cheerful Seasons birdhouse in layers at 5 inches. And I put a little piece of darker gray back behind the hole and where the perch is, just to make it stand out. So there's my birdhouse pieces. And then I also used some of the Sizzix Springs greenery dies for a little green on this gray card. So my base is 7 by 10 inches. I'm going to score it at 5 inches. And then again at 2.5 inches, which will make a Z-fold card. Get that folded over and reinforce it with my bone folder. And fold the front flap back and give that a good crease. And that makes a simple Z-fold card base. Next, I'll be using these mats. The first one's 2.25 by 6 3/4 inches. That'll go on that front flap. And then for the inside, I'll be using 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 inch. And I'll get that adhered to the inside of my card. I wanted my redbird to really stand out on this card, so I use muted tone-on-tone paper for my background. Now to add the birdhouse to the Z-fold, I'm only going to apply glue down one side. And I'll get that centered on the actual Z-fold. This is why you only add glue to one side of your birdhouse, so that the Z-fold will open and close. like this. Okay, that's looking good. Next I'm going to add my cardinal. And did you know, so I also read that the fathers help out as much with the babies as the mothers do. Of course, mothers are dull brown and the fathers are the bright red cardinals. But when one goes out to look for food, the other parent will stay and guard the nest and take care of the babies. So, the cardinals had the right idea all this time, letting the daddies be as involved with the family as the mother. So here I'm adding that Sizzix greenery that I had cut out, and I liked the combination of the dark with the light, so I fiddled around a little bit here with my greenery. And in hindsight, I would have left those upper leaves a little loose so I could tuck some of this green behind it, but I didn't, so we'll just go with this. And it turns out fine. It was too late to try to get that tucked behind some of those darker pieces. So we'll just go with the light over the dark just for a little bit of variation. And it'll look just fine. And as we're going through this, you'll see some of my design ideas as I'm fiddling around here to see which way I think the leaves look best, turning it this way and that way. So when the card is closed, it looks just as good as when it's opened. So I decide I'm going to go at this angle with just a few leaves down towards the bottom, so it appears that the birdhouse and the bird are up in a tree somewhere. That's the idea I was going for. All right, got that all down. Next, I'm going to make a little piece that goes on the inside so that you can write your note. So this, I use the gray mat and then also a piece of white, and I'll get those adhered together. And that will fit quite nicely behind that Z-fold flap. And I'm going to offset it just a bit on my inside mat. Get it put down right there so that when the card closes you won't be able to see the sentiment area. And then I'm going to use this lovely stamp from Stampabilities. And this is just a general quote here that could be used for any type of card. I just think it's a really nice saying. I'm going to use archival ink in watering can gray. And I'll need to do a couple of impressions here to get a really crisp sentiment. That looks good. And it says, some people strengthen others just by being the kind of person they are. And I thought that's a really nice sentiment for any type of card. So here's some close-up looks at the finished card. It has a lot of detail and dimension, even though nothing's popped up on there. It's just a fun little Z-fold card. My signature stamp on the back. And then of course I always finish up with a lined envelope. If you're interested in seeing how to do an easy peasy lined envelope without any dies or any special measurements, go check out some of my other videos on YouTube. I'm so glad you could join me today. I hope you enjoyed this card, and I hope you'll come back and visit me real soon. You can also hop over to my blog at www.vintagehillstudio.com. And happy crafting, everyone!